Welcome to Type C Tech Reviews. Today we're going to be unboxing the BenQ Mobiuz EX270QM. If at any point during the video you want to check out this exact same monitor, there's Amazon links below for the US, UK, Canada, and international links. Let's get this thing unboxed. Sorry if it's a little bit echoey. New space that we're doing this. We'll have it fixed very, very soon. But okay, this is an interesting proposition here because the price point's a little bit high, especially because my number one pick comes in at just $650, which is the Alienware AW2723DF. That one comes in at $650. This one right now is about $800, but it retails for $900. Which is a lot of money. Okay, but let's get this out. 27 inches, 1440p, 240 hertz. All right, in the box here, we first got a DisplayPort cable, an HDMI cable, which is a 2.1 cable, first half of the power connection, and then the power brick. Small note is that this is a fairly small power brick, which is nice. Then you get a USB Type B to USB Type A, the manuals and all of the other probably warranty cards and things, a back plate, a cover plate for the port section of your monitor. I never end up putting these on, but let's see how it looks. Yeah, nice, just a little cover back there. And then classic BenQ fashion, you get a remote, which I actually really like. The industry is actually moving towards doing remotes on like all monitors, which is very cool. If you have watched any of my other reviews, you will have seen this BenQ remote in my BenQ reviews. It's a nice remote. It looks really nice and it functions quite well. If this is how, well, it's probably gonna function the same as all the other monitors. All right, and then the bottom part of the stand here, there it is. Metal on the bottom, then covered with nice angles right here. This is a classic stand we've seen from their Mobiuz line. A little bit of plastic here. There we go, looking nice. All right, but then getting to the panel itself, this is a flat panel, very premium look from the back. The other half of the height adjustable section of the stand, very, very nice, a dark color with that metallic-ness on the back, but again, you can see very high quality. That is all, I mean, this part is metal. So let's put this together, line those up right there, put it together, high quality thumb screw on the top. You can just screw it together with your fingers. All right, once that's together, it's a lock-in stand. You guys know the drill, line up the top. Once that's lined up, press down. There we go, it's locked in. This thing is very nicely packaged. Do not think you're gonna have a problem in shipping. Let's take the plastic off of this, the PE foam, and here is this monitor, a stunning backing. We're gonna set it right here for now to check this out. Okay, so very Apple-y, okay? We got the space gray, looking nice. Very space gray-y. Really pretty backing. We have that 5-watt subwoofer back here. Obviously you have the sections right here where you can put on that cover. These little sections right here are all RGB, so that will light up in RGB. It's cool. Cable management through here, obviously right there. Stick my finger through. All right, now let's check out the ports. We've got 2 HDMIs here. I believe both of those are HDMI 2.1. We've got a display port, a 3.5mm audio jack, a USB Type B upstream, and then 2 of those USB Type A downstreams. I'm gonna check if there's any other USBs around here, but I think that is just 2 USBs down there. But a good amount of ports. Cool that they have HDMI 2.1. Yeah, but let's get around to the front now. This is a fairly heavy monitor, although we do expect a 1440p 240 hertz monitor to be fairly heavy. We've got some plastic on the bottom right here, which is, if it's like any other of their monitors, that's like ambient light stuff down there, which is, well, to each their own. Not my thing though. All right, speakers in the front here. I believe these are dual 2-watt speakers, something like that. Then in the bottom, we've got a dedicated power button that kind of like lights up. We've got your joystick, and then we've got another button, which I forget that, maybe that's for inputs. And then you also, on this other side, you have an HDR button or a fake HDR button if you're not in HDR. All right, before we get this all set up, do a ghosting test and a gameplay initial impressions and going through all the monitor settings. Let's check out the stand really quick. It has height adjustability, a good amount of height. It's got tilt. Does it have swivel? Yes, it does. Very good. And I believe it does have rotation. Nope, it does not have rotation, but it does have a little bit of side to side. So a small amount just to level it. All right, with that, let's get this thing set up and see how this thing games. All right, guys, with it set up on the desk, let's turn this thing on with the dedicated power button. All right, guys, now with it up on the screen, very pretty image. Now, the difference is I'm gonna be comparing this a lot to that Alienware panel. This one has a slightly wider color gamut. It's probably a little bit more color accurate. BenQ has a good track record with that. But again, it's also got these speakers in here. But let's go through the menu system. I just turned it off. I do remember that being one of my gripes about the placement of the power button. Actually, rather than using the onboard we're just gonna use this. So let's go in there. Here is the menu system. We have the inputs. This gets a little bit, actually not a little bit, it gets very confusing. So you have like presets set to your inputs, which is kind of a cool idea, but in practice doesn't work great. Okay, so setting this over in a standard increases the brightness substantially. There's a different color modes. You can go into like a black and white for maybe reading at night, which is very cool. We'll go into the custom. You have color vibrance, the brightness, which is set to 100%, contrast, sharpness, your gamma here, color temperature. AMA is essentially your response time settings. So that is what we're going to test with the ghosting. We'll leave it in 1 for now. Then we have a blur reduction mode. There's some blue light stuff and also probably your ambient light modes. We have volume up here, different audio modes, which actually change the EQ a lot on this monitor. So we will test that out. We have the lighting, which we're gonna turn on. You can probably go back there and I don't know if you can see it. So I'll go through a couple different color modes. Very cool that it has it. And from what I remember, it does actually hit the wall and do something. So that's cool. You also have different effects for the RGB, but continuing on with the menu system, we'll go down into system. We have different HDMI settings where you can set it to 144 Hertz if you want. This also does work with all the consoles. You have the LED indicator for this little light down here, which you can see the light on my finger, and then a bunch of other stuff. However, with that, let's get in and test some things. First, we'll go into NVIDIA control panel, make sure this is doing the max refresh rate. So yeah, doing full 240 Hertz, native resolution, 2560 by 1440p, giving you about a PPI of about 109. Then we can see if this can output 10 bits of color as we expect it can. All right, but with that, let's jump in game and see how this thing does. Right off the bat, I will say, because I didn't really say it, it's very pretty. The Alienware was also very pretty. This one is going to be slightly prettier. One of the things that I do want to test really quick is the coating. The finish on this, at least from first impressions. Obviously, this is a fairly quick thing as the full review will be coming in a few days that I really go in depth here. But just from first impressions, this looks like a really good finish on this. It's definitely still matte. It's not glossy, but it is a not very thick finish at all. Looking at a white background on a bad matte finish, you'll get this really bad dirty screen effect, almost an oil slick effect. This, I mean, you're not really noticing it here. So again, it's one of those nicer finishes like the new LG GQ series, not the OLEDs, but the IPS panels. I guess they're a few months old at this point, but really good here. This makes the picture quality significantly better. The clarity here is really good. All right, let's jump in game. All right, guys, jumping right into game. We do have the speakers on right now, not super loud, so you can hear me. We are in a game of Battlefield 2042. It is at 240 Hertz, very, very smooth. It's very pretty. Obviously, that's the reason you get this panel, not only to get the speed here, but also to get you know, a very pretty display. And I think that's why these are honestly the sweet spot. These 240 Hertz panels at 1440p, you're getting a lot for your money. You're getting really close to a 360 Hertz panel in terms of what you're gonna see visually, but you're still getting a panel that you can legitimately do photo and video editing, not compromising your PPI, your resolution, and not compromising your color gamut, which is crazy. HDR experience here is also, well, obviously we have wide coverage of the DCI-P3 color space, so there's a reason to use HDR. Now, obviously it's not gonna have crazy black levels or anything, but I mean, it's a great gaming experience. It's very, very fast. It's very pretty. Of all the panels, this is probably the segment that I would personally buy in if I had to buy one monitor, if that makes any sense at all. If I'm gonna buy one display with my own money that was just for me, not for a review process or anything like that, a 240 Hertz 1440p panel that has great color coverage is just the way to go. It just makes sense. It's an all-around panel. It does everything well. No exceptions here. I mean, it's just really enjoyable to game on. Okay, yeah, this is just a lot of these panels I review, and it's honestly sometimes it's kind of annoying because a lot of these panels are not all in one. They don't do everything well. They do one thing well, like a VA panel has the contrast ratio and it has the price point, and a lot of VA panels are very good. And then you have super high refresh rate panels, but then they lack resolution or they're too expensive or they don't have the color gamut. This one does it all. It has the speed, it has the size, it has a pretty good price point. There's a lot in this space. This one even has extras like included speakers, which is very, very cool. And the speakers are very good. These are some of the best integrated monitor speakers in the industry. There's actual bass because there is a dedicated sub back here. Let's look at the ghosting here in game before we do an actual test. So as far as the in-game experience, you know, it's not a OLED, right? So don't expect that. But I mean, this looks really, really good, right? This looks really, really good. No one's really gonna have any problems, especially when you're not doing anything crazy competitive. Obviously, this can game fairly competitively because it is 240 hertz, but this is really great. I have actually used a Mobiuz monitor, I think it's a 32-inch, and I've actually used that a lot of the time on a different set just because we were using it for the other channel. And one of the things I ended up really, really liking was I love the design elements of BenQ, and I really liked the speaker system. It was really easy to be able to sit down and have that when I don't have a headset on. So obviously, playing into the price point difference between $650 for the Alienware variant of this kind of monitor versus this, which does have better color accuracy and integrated speakers, this might be better for someone who is a content creator as well as a gamer, or someone who wants to spend quite a bit more money for those extras like a integrated speaker system and a wider color gamut, slightly wider color gamut. But obviously that's not going in depth to all the HDR and everything like that, so we'll have to leave that for the full review. Let's move on to ghosting before we, well, end the video. All right guys, here in the UFO test is pretty much exactly what I expected. Before, I'm gonna take the camera and actually show you what I'm seeing, pan with the little UFOs here. I'm gonna go into the menu system, go down to the AMA settings, which I believe is, okay, right in there. Okay, so then going down to AMA, we're gonna change this down to 0, which adds definitely more ghosting. We're gonna turn it up to 1, less ghosting. Turning it up to 2, it looks like it does a little bit of overshoot, so inverse ghosting, and then 3 does more overshoot. So 1 is definitely the best. 2 is definitely adding some overshoot. I don't think it's worth it at all. So 1 is definitely best, hands down. That may change depending on, well, some other factors there. Also to note that on, I believe on this one as well, on the BenQ monitors, even though this has FreeSync Premium Pro, which means you get that variable refresh rate with HDR gaming, which is very cool because many of you may be gaming exclusively in HDR with this panel. But you never turn it on with the menu system. That's something you're gonna have to turn on with your, you know, NVIDIA control panel, or, you know, if it's enabled, it's gonna be enabled on the monitor. That's just one of those little things with BenQ monitors, I believe, unless I am mistaken, but I believe that I am not. All right, I'm gonna take the camera and show you guys what I am seeing. This is with the AMA settings in 1. So you can see there. I'm gonna go a little bit closer here. So you can see, it's very good. All right, if you want to check this out before the full review, there's Amazon links below, but hit that subscribe button because in a few days we'll be coming out with the full review, going over all of the testing, and it's actual like a B-roll video, not just a sit-down quick fun video. But yeah, all right, this was Type C Tech Reviews. I'm a little out of practice with these videos, but it's okay. I'll get back into it. All right, this is Type C Tech Reviews, and I'll see you guys in the next video.